Folks, it is that time for WPF Week 4, where we have our fourth attempt to win a game as we play Oboe, coach of the Seattle Sandstorms. But today, we're not facing any sand. No, folks, we are facing weather with Torkoal, Walking Wake, and Hisuian Lilligant. The sun is up as it is a nice summer day today, and we actually made some trades, funny enough. 0-3, we had to do something, and so, folks, we have a new TERA captain in King Gambit. And we also have some new members in Dragonite, Galarian Slowbro, Hariyama, and the Hisuian Sneasel. Now, we did drop the Tinkaton, the Gallade, the Arboliva, and the Lycanroc, but I think we got some good bulk, and I think bulk is what we needed just to be able to make the offense do more. If offense is just getting out-offensed, we really need to back it up with some fat. And so with this team, we got a lot of fat in the back. Starting off with King Gambit, Tera Fairy to be able to take on a lot of those special attackers. We are Spadef, again, for those Walking Wakes, for those Galarian Moltres-gs and stuff like that. Pretty straightforward. We're going to get some attack boosts from Supreme Overlord, and we are Adamant, so I'm not really too worried about our damage output. As for more damage output, we got Scarf Landorus, which can straight up kill a Scarf Cleavor, and it can potentially revenge some stuff in the late game. If the Torkoal goes down in the mid game, then we can just go, Landorus. Earth Power Sludge Bomb looks pretty free in this match, especially if that Galarian Slowking is chipped. From there, though, we got a little bit more fat in the Galarian Slowbro. We have our own Slowfolk, I guess. It's very straightforward as we can T-Wave a lot of stuff. Psychic, something like a Hisuian Lilligant, and Grass Knot, which is for the Quagsire. It could also be for a potential Moltres Terra type. But with that being said, we probably don't want to stay in anyways. We do want to hit it with something like the Electrode Hisui, which is AV, to be able to take on pretty much any special attacker and retaliate with Thunderbolt, with Volt Switch. We also have Solar Beam slapped on there because I'm guessing Sun's going to show up. And we also have a little bit more fat. A lot of these mons can take hits, but Master Koga is the one that can take the most hits out of them all. With AV, it can basically take any special hit. It can burn turns of Sun with Fake Out. Brain Punch and Knockoff are really nice for recovery and information, respectively. And then we got Earthquake in the back for the Galarian Slowking, once maybe we've knocked off its item already. It's also nice for Torkoal. And with our last mon in the back, we got Dragonite. This is a mon that I really liked in Gen 8, and I don't really like it with Terra. I think it's a very big nuisance, but luckily I can't Terra in this league. We just have standard banded Dragonite with Dragon Claw, Iron Head, E-Speed, Earthquake, just to be able to take care of anything in the back. This mon is going to be able to basically clean, but it can also break if we want to as well. Now with that being said, let's get on into a post-com of the game, because I was actually super sick for this game. These are the 6 for the both sides, and no Cleavor is in sight, which is super interesting for Lando, which is locked and loaded. It is ready to click Earth Power. It can click U-turn on anything, but he actually opts for a very standard lead as he brings out KCP, the Torkoal, new champ, if I'm not mistaken. And from here, we go into the Electrode. We're a little greedy, though, because we are AV. We are able to take a hit from anything. If he wants to get up rocks early, he can get up rocks. So we actually opt for a Thunderbolt, as he is revealed to be a pretty bulky Spadef on. Now from here, we're able to Volt Switch, and we still get like 65% or so, which is very nice. As we get to go into our first new mon. Come out, Hariyama. Master Koga from the Yiga clan in Breath of the Wild and in Tears of the Kingdom. I love this mon. And that being said, we got rid of Link, which I feel like for a Zelda-based team is pretty fucking sacrilegious. And I don't know. Master Koga is sick. Glory to Koga. I think he brings like a lot of balance to this team, Hariyama. He's able to still click knockoff, which I think is very valued in this format. Just from like an information standpoint rather than from a damage standpoint. But he really balances offense and defense, Hariyama. So I think that's a really big bonus for us. The Gallade was nice. It's a really good mon. Like, don't get me wrong. That mon is awesome, especially at 1 point higher than Hariyama. But I still feel like Hariyama just gives more value to the team. Because whenever I was using it, whenever I was using Gallade, I was really thinking, I want to run like AV or something like that. That's just not what it does. Anyways, we bring in Hudson, the Glowbro, and from here I'm thinking, do I Grass Knot? Do I Thunderwave? I really want to progress the game. He's already progressed it with Spikes, and if I land a T-Wave, that's really nice, especially on this. Instead, I go for the Grass Knot, unfortunately. T-Wave would have looked very, very nice in front of this, as this is kind of staring down the team with a nasty plot, potentially with a Dark Pulse too, or not Dark Pulse, Fiery Wrath. But he actually makes a really smart double here, going into the Mimikyu. And Mimikyu wasn't a mon I necessarily prepped for. It's not a mon that I really saw in mocks at all either. And so from here, I figured I'd have to stay in if it were to click SD. SD Mimikyu looked very, very threatening against this team, especially with something like Drain Punch or Play Rough or something like that, with a combo of Shadow Sneak as well. I think that looked really lethal. So I felt like Hariyama had to go down there. Very good mon, but now we don't really have a lot of Wake answers, especially if this thing is coming in. Now, granted, I could have gone into, like, Landorus, because there isn't a Steel type. I could have just clicked Sludge Bomb and maybe gotten the chip I needed to take this thing out. With that being said, I click Kowtow Cleave with this, and we do break through the disguise. Obviously, you know, it's only 1 point of damage that's needed to break a disguise. But from here, we Kowtow Cleave again as he doubles. And this is actually very beneficial because we Kowtow Cleave once, Kowtow Cleave again, and from there we actually get, you know, our 2 rounds of leftovers. I just cut the turns a little differently. And we start at like 190 HP. We're back at like 274 now. And so we're actually ready to take on this Wake because we are very bulky. And we basically have 0 attack if I'm not mistaken. We are ready to be able to take on any mon, pretty much except for the Hisuian Lilligant if it's like Hustle Bandit or something like that. But from here, he actually opts to double again as we Kowtow Cleave, get some more lefties, and we're basically at 300. And from here, on the Iron Head, he actually goes out from Gmolt into the Torkoal again. So we started below 200, and now we're above 300 HP, which is insane. This means that if we keep this thing around for an endgame, it's going to look really, really good. We opt to go for the Kowtow Cleave, though, as he swaps again, going into Jordan Poole, the Hisuian Lilligant. Is it Jordan Poole because he misses a lot of shots? I don't know, you know, what I was a fan of, especially coming from Seattle. You know, you can never guess who's a fan of who in Seattle. So, you know, the only thing I know, I have relatives in Seattle, and they just say, fuck the Thunder. But from here, we are able to take a Leaf Blade from the Lilligant. I'm guessing it's Chlorophyll at this point. But now that the Quagsire is gone, Thunderwave looks really nice. Just chipping this thing down with Thunderwave, or wearing this thing down with Thunderwave is very nice too, as he goes into Big Bobon himself. And from here, now that we've terrestrialized, the Kingambit looks really, really nice against this thing. That being said, I want to keep it in an endgame, and Lando actually doesn't really look that important. For as good of a mon as it is, it doesn't look that great because it gets outsped in Sun, and it deals with the Torkoal, which everything, I guess, deals with. So from here, I just Sludge Bomb a couple times, he Fiery Rats, and from here, I actually sack it off and go into the Kingambit. And we have a lot of momentum here. This thing's paralyzed. You know, we do get to go first. And he tears into water, which means that it was like Quagsire with the Rindo Berry that we knocked off, and this Moltres that were the main Palafin checks. But he also had Sun and Walking Wake, which, you know, those were some big reasons why I didn't want to go into the Palafin. From here, he goes into the Lilligant, and we're able to just go back into the Glowbro, just get some nice chip off. I think that's, you know, a pretty straightforward answer, but he always has Sleep Powder in the back, which I think is very, very worrisome, especially for an endgame that revolves around sacks. You know, I'm going to be doubling out into a lot of stuff. If he gets the chance to, like, Sleep Powder, maybe Victory Dance, that's pretty scary. But from here, as you can see, we have killed the Torkoal, so he has 8 turns of Sun left. That's it. If we can outlast the Sun, I think we can basically win the game from there, as we sack off the Electrode, and this is going to boost our Kingambit a little bit. You know, little by little, as this sack race continues, we get those attack boosts, and that's what's really nice about Kingambit is, in Gen 9, you know, there's going to be a lot of sack races. You can win with Kingambit, especially with a wonky Terra type. So that is kind of why I wanted to opt into Terra Gambit over the Landorus, but it's actually not Kingambit's time. It is Dragonite's time. Toro, Toro is absolutely jacked with this choice band. We click Earthquake just to be able to put something in EQ range, or E-speed range. And speaking of EQ range, we actually have the Mimikyu, which goes down, and that really unlocks Dragonite's potential, just being able to E-speed on a lot of different things. But from here, Wake comes right back out, as a matter of fact, as we are really worried here about what to do in this endgame. Just, speaking pretty genuinely, like, I feel like the endgames that I've had in Gen 9, I've thought a lot about them, and I've put a lot of effort into getting them right, and there's just not something that's, like, synced up with the battle. I'm just not getting what's actually going to happen right, or there's been actually quite a bit of hacks. But for the ones that I haven't been hacks in, I haven't been getting those right either, and so it's something that I really got to learn. Gen 9, you got to be very precise in Gen 9. With everything can hit you for a lot of damage, you got to know exactly what to do in such few turns, So we actually go back out into the D-Knight, and from here, now that I know or expect him to be Specs Hydro's team, it's pretty straightforward. We just get to click Dragon Claw. He has to sack something, and we click Dragon Claw here. He goes Lilligant, that's cool. He stays in, that's cool. He actually stays in and clicks Hydro's team here as it catches up. But with that being said, super glad to start actually getting this endgame right. The one problem is that Lilligant could be Sleep Powder, and it could really ruin our day. We could have another week 3 against John, where that last Mon is just too much for us. But with that being said, I know that this Mon can E-speed, so as long as Lilligant doesn't get behind a sub, we should just be able to have it if we sack off this Kingambit. He does, of course, go for the Ice Spinner on us, which is, makes sense, as we're able to recover back. And that health that we had is able to gain us 1 diff in that win against Oboe. But GG's to Oboe. Very fun game. I love Weather Wars. Super, super fun, super precise. And we need this momentum to carry on into the next game, because we play another Owen, OG Albina, go to the Carolina Roaring Moons. So I'm very nervous for that. But playing against Oboe, I think it's helped me get a little bit of momentum. We finally got our first win, which is super nice. We're going 1-3. We're on the road for playoffs, potentially. We just got to win like the next 5 or 6. But with that being said, we really got to take the momentum into the rest of the season. We got some good coaches in OG Albina, Bruno, Starfish. We also play Odds, who is right at our level, somebody that we really need to compete with. And then I'm blanking on the last one. I think it's Tiro, another player that we really need to compete with. All very solid coaches. So GG's to Oboe, and hopefully this is the start of a little more to come. We will see you guys next Friday for WPF Week 5. Take care, guys. Peace.